The first thing I see is a strange little island floating there on the coral sea. The cook pines and the coconut palms are silhouetted against the sky. For those who know, they're a sure sign that you're in New Caledonia. The first people I come across when I reach the shore are some old ladies wandering around the coral revealed by the low tide. Just a few meters from the shore live the tribes of the sea clans. They're the ones who look after the coastline, and the mountain clans have always depended on them to protect both the abundant resources and the balance of a fragile ecosystem.
When the octopus season's over, it's the crayfish season. Catching crayfish is a job for the men. They use rods, they use nets. We mothers have to go out on the coral and look for octopuses. I can't go and put the nets out for fish. Only my sons are allowed to do that, and my husband. That's our tradition, and we respect it. I can go and catch octopuses, though, just like my husband. Anyone can. There's only the little island opposite that's protected. People go there to have a walk. There are lots of fish, but we don't fish over there. The reef just over there, though, that's all right for people from the tribe. It'd be silly for other people to come and fish right under our noses. If we're not there, well, okay, but not when we're there.
Ça, c'est mon petit-fils. Ah ben, bonjour.
I get our food from the sea. It gives me fish and octopus. It gives me the clean air. And from nature, too. I like plants, so I have my plantations. I grow manioc, sweet potatoes, yams. That's where I do my gardening.
Macaroni. Père et du Fils et du Saint-Esprit.
Amen.
Amen.
Bon appétit à tous.
Merci. Wanda je boy. Ça va?
I don't know if they're naturally hospitable or just mildly indifferent. But I feel good with this family. I gain their trust and they open up to me. They invite me to stay a while with them there in the shadow of the palms.
That's how I learned. By watching and listening. I'm curious. My big brother's been to Vanuatu, and he told me, when you make coconut milk, if you don't have a strainer, you just put the coconut in there, you wet it a bit, and you've got a strainer. And the juice you get is really pure. We use the leaves to weave with. We make our huts from the wood. We can even use woven leaves for the roof. The whole of the coconut palm is good. We eat the fruit, we eat the inner core, the palm heart, we build with the wood. The whole tree is useful, even the roots. I talk about the coconut palms because they're there for everyone. I like to share what I know about them. There are others, though, that are taboo that I can't talk about. We often have big get-togethers over the yams. That's when we have a real exchange. You can film my yams. They belong to me, not my kids. I can show what belongs to me, but not to my kids. It's something that belongs to a clan, to a family. If you don't have any yams, you're not a man or a woman. I reckon a yam is more important to a culture than a sack of rice, a sack of sugar, or, I don't know, 1,000 francs. If I haven't got any yams, I don't feel good about going to the yam festival. I have to take a yam. And all my children have their own yams. It's very important.
Très important.
I was aware of how important this particular root vegetable was to the Melanesians. Along with manioc and taro root, it's a staple food. But the way this woman talks about it, and especially the things she doesn't say, both intrigues me and gives me a glimpse of the mystical universe that surrounds it. Following the children along the beach, I have a moment to reflect on this first day and how quickly the conviviality and simplicity of these people has touched my heart. This is a beautiful coastline where the sea is bountiful. Seeing these men and women coming to catch fish as if they were picking fruit, I'm filled with a sweetness of life and a nostalgia for times forgotten or lost, for the days when a true balance existed between nature and mankind. A time when nature was both bounteous and respected by humankind. A time for the most part long gone, yet which still lives on here and there in the world. I keep thinking of what the woman catching octopuses said about her yams. It's as if she'd opened a crack in the door. I want to push it open and find out just why this root enjoys the status of a cult object. Before I can explore further here, there are a few basic things I need to understand. So to legitimize my quest, I seek an audience with one of the clan's chiefs. Here, all first encounters involve what the Kanak people call a customary gesture. It's a formal ritual that requires that before making any kind of request, you place at the other person's feet a symbolic gift in the form of a piece of cloth and a piece of money. This gesture is a sign of respect that creates a space and a time between two people for words to be exchanged.
For
the Kanaks, out in the yard is where all the proprieties are observed, not inside the house. What really counts is your word. The word you gave when you gave your gift. The gift won't last, but your word never dies. For a Kanak, your word is your very being. I call it your being, but you could say your life. Whatever keeps you alive. Kanaks have beliefs. They believe in myths. People who don't know find them fanciful, but we believe in them. A Kanak doesn't believe in death. He believes that when we say someone dies, he's just returning to the invisible world of the ancestors. He leaves his body in the ground, what a European calls death. But the Kanak isn't dead. He's parted with the form of his body and the thoughts that make up that form. And they're still here. They're watching us.
La Grande Terre. That's what they call the main island of New Caledonia. It's a long piece of land in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The mountainous spine that divides the island is home to the mountain clans. It's a long chain that stretches from north to south, creating an incredible variety of landscapes and climates. It's an Eden, an ideal setting for naturalists and lovers of diversity. It may not look that way, but hunting, like fishing, has never been a leisure activity for the Kanaks. To this day, taking a life is always a matter of survival. As I wait to see where this man's trail will lead me, I gaze at the branches of a sacred banyan tree as they drop from above and writhe like snakes along the ground, before plunging silently into the earth to turn slowly into roots. From the deepest valleys to the highest peaks, Kanak men have always hunted game in these forests. Wild ducks are particularly coveted, as well as big pigeons like the nutu or the legendary giant bat they call the rousette. Right now, though, we're after deer. You can't win them all, though, and this time the animal got lucky. The hunter I met earlier introduces me to a friend of his and lets me follow them to a secret spot deep in the forest. There are many things hidden here in the heart of the forest, and places to which you have to be invited. The ancestors are watching, and sometimes a powerful taboo and the unseen presence of the guardian of the site are protecting it from intruders. I'd probably never have found this place without a guide. Without permission, I'd never have been able to set foot on it. A yam field like this one is a lot more valuable than it looks. For here in New Caledonia, they venerate the earth more than almost anywhere else in the world. It's here in a field like this, deep in the forest, that a man can commune with Mother Earth. It's a cradle, a sanctuary, a place of communion, a special place. They've probably been searching these furrows here for almost a year. A few ritual stones are slowly leaking out their magical power to the yams.
We handle the yams with a lot of respect. We have to kneel down to dig them up. We're very careful with them when we put them in the pot. You can't throw them about. You have to take care of them. You have to take your time about handling them. A yam is like a baby for us. My field's very special to me. I worked very hard last year to establish it. I've got about 100 plants that I use only for formal occasions. I harvest them myself. I've picked about 600 kilos. I feel strong when I'm in my field. I feel the ancestors there, all around me, because the yam is a living presence according to our customs and traditions. For us, it's a matter of respect to nod to someone when you meet them. But it's even more so with the yams because you have to actually kneel down to pull them out of the earth. It's like going into a house. You have to bow down, and there's a sign of respect. The yam is a very powerful symbol in our local customs and ceremonies. With a yam, you can ask forgiveness. You can court a girl from another clan. The yam can be an offering to another clan.
The yam is the fruit of 9 months' hard work. But it's not simply a root vegetable. It's a part of the dialogue between a man and the earth. As it grows, it feeds on the ancestral soil until it becomes the incarnation of the spirit of the ancestors.
The difference between us and Europeans is that we, through our heredity, belong to the earth, whereas for Europeans, the earth belongs to them. A European can sell a piece of land and buy another somewhere else. A Kanak man, though, has to keep living, from father to son, on the land that he belongs to by inheritance. That's the difference. All of New Caledonia traditionally belongs to one clan or another, so we're all attached to this land here.
The bamboo branches all creak in the wind like the bridge of an old ship. It makes me think of the vessel of a great navigator plowing through the waves to discover this land. Along the roadsides, you often come across graveyards with no fences overlooked by a little church. Christianity has taken hold everywhere here. Many times during our meals together, I am struck by how devoted the Kanaks are. They have succeeded in merging their ancestral beliefs with the Christian religion. In the same way, the tombs in this cemetery coexist peacefully with the spirits of the ancestors. The calm atmosphere after the Mass, all flowers and murmured voices, shows just how different one's attitude to death can be if it's seen as a passage, not an end. The roots of Kanak culture may run deep in the history of this island. But the upheavals caused by the arrival of French colonialists in the 19th century were particularly traumatizing. I asked for an audience with a big chief to ask him about that time. I meet him in the great hut, which stands out with its carved wooden spire on the roof. A symbol of the clan and a place for dialogue between the families, the great hut keeps the clan anchored to its land.
I'm the descendant of the great chiefs of this region. At that time, it was my grandparents, but now I'm the last of the family and I've inherited the chiefdom. Back in 1878, our grandparents were chased off their land. They headed up into the central mountains and founded a few tribes. Then in about 1881 or 1882, they started creating the reserves. Basically, the reserves were created to coop up the indigenous people. At that time, they figured the Kanaks didn't need their own land. They thought of them as animals. My grandfather could see that there wasn't enough room for everyone in such a small area, so he said, "Well, look, I'm going to go and build my hut further down." So he came down and found this place that was really like where he had his chief's hut on his own land. First, they picked out a spot for this hut, which is a meeting place for when there's a problem between two families or two clans. Any difference between two clans is traditionally settled here. He planted 3 pines here on either side to clearly mark the spot. For us, the pine stands for a man and the coconut palm for a woman. So these are the living witnesses. We can go up north or down south, and you'll still see the pines and coconut palms that prove the link to the existence of clans and families from before the colonization. The Kanaks, you see, are from here. They were the original inhabitants of this land. Every time a fire is lit here inside the hut, it's the occasion for reconciliation between two parties in dispute. You know, often when you're in conflict, you're in the dark and you don't know what you're doing. When you're in the dark, you can't see where the danger lies. So that's what the fire's for, to give direction to two people in conflict, to get them back on track, and what's more, to enlighten all the heads of families gathered here so they don't side with one party at the expense of the other. There's a fair and equal hearing for both sides. There are sea clans here and there are mountain clans. In our ancestors' times, things weren't like they are now. Back then, you had to ask permission before you could go fishing. So if I'm from the mountain clans and you're from the sea clans, then I absolutely have to ask your permission to go fishing. It's normal. You're there by the sea, so you're the one who's the guardian of the coastline. You're in charge of the larder. And that's why there's always been fish. So it's right I should ask your permission. You can go and fish, but only enough for yourself and no more. You can't take more than that because you have to think of the people who'll come after you. Sometimes we allow people to catch more than they actually need. But then when you get home with your fish, you keep what you need for your family, and whatever's left, you share with everyone else in the spirit of sharing. Next week or next month, you have a really good crop in your field. Yams, manioc, taro, bananas, and you'll share it with everyone in your turn. It's always been like that. It's the same here for all the tribes, all the Kanaks. It's always been like that. Each chiefdom and every place has its own sculptures and decorations that symbolize different things according to our customs. The two big brown sculptures there represent the chief's guards. Then, next to them, you've got two small grey ones, and they represent the guardian spirits of the chiefdom, but they're also a symbol of guidance.
For the Kanaks, being a sculptor isn't necessarily a vocation. It's something you share and learn when you go to visit your uncles or on family Sunday get-togethers. The sculptures contain all kinds of codes and symbols. It's a language known only to the initiated. There are wood carvings everywhere in the great hut. On the one and only doorway, the doorstep, the lintel, and the frame are all covered with them. And then there's the spire up on the roof, the symbol both of the chief and the entire clan's identity. But mostly, it's a pleasant pastime that lets a family make a few Pacific francs. For whatever reason they're doing it, whether they know it or not, working with wood makes this family part of a living tradition and connects them to their ancestors. trees are the memories of the world. Here, they're the memory of a clan. The hands of the sculptor free the spirits of the wood and tell us its story. The east coast of New Caledonia is much more lush and tropical than the west coast, which is given over to wide plains for raising cattle. It's also a lot more authentic and more surprising the further north you go. As so often before when I discover a new land, my sense of freedom grows the more I lose my bearings. I head deeper into the jungle in the footsteps of a hunter.
When I fish for shrimps, I just catch what I need to eat for tonight and for tomorrow. Then I leave them alone, and the next day I go hunting to get some meat. But I never fish for large amounts. If there's two of us, I just catch 10 shrimps and that's enough. The river's like my larder. I don't want to be greedy and catch everything in it. We know there are spirits here in the forest and in the rivers. And it can happen that if you go hunting and you get a bit too greedy, then the spirits of the forest will make sure you don't make it back home. We always say here that they may be dead, but they're still here with us, all around us. They see us and they can hear us every day. They're always right here with us. I first learnt to hunt and fish when I was very little, and the old men, and it's something I pass on to my children. I was on holiday with a few of my nephews, and I taught them to hunt, how to recognize tracks, follow a trail, etc. But now with all the modern stuff, they'd rather have telephones and cars, and they don't go to the mountains or the rivers. You might think that means they don't like meat or shrimps. But once it's on the table, they're the first to dig in. I've stayed here on the land, so I think of myself mainly as a hunter. I hunt game during the open season, deer, wild boars, etc. The rousette is a kind of bat, a really big one. When it spreads its wings, it's 1 meter across. Us Kanaks like eating rousette. On Grande Terre, we use the bones from the bats to make Kanak money. Everything from the fur to the bones. Just the wing bones of the rousette, not anything else from the rest of its body. We make Kanak money, which is unique to New Caledonia. And that too is part of our customs.
The Rusette is a bat that's as secretive as it is mythical. Way up in the highest treetops, they await the setting of the sun. In the old days, the ancestors used to go up to the mountain peaks at nightfall to catch them in full flight with their long poles. I close my eyes, and I can picture that shadow ballet that I shall never witness. For traditions fade, and overhunting may one day make this animal a creature of legend. I'm gradually getting to know these people and some of the subtleties of their rich culture. I'm understanding, for example, how there can be a big difference between what you know and what you can say, or again, between what you do and what you can be seen to do. In many cases, to pass on knowledge to someone, you have to be an initiate. In other words, you have to be authorized by your rank or your clan. It's not just anyone who can produce real Kanak money. You have to have learnt from the elders and to be very experienced. Very few people on Grande Terre possess this ability, and even fewer of them are willing to share the trade secrets. So I know how lucky I am when this man allows me into his workshop to observe him creating money under the attentive eye of his disciple.
My brother was the one in this clan who made Kanak money. He lived in the valley behind the forest. When he died, I took his place, and I make the money now. I learned by watching him. That's how we do things here. Usually, we use russet bat bones, but sometimes it's fish teeth or finely worked little shells. We use crayfish antennae too, as well as very special ferns that we find in the savannah. This is Melanesian money. It goes back a long way, way before Western money arrived. All our important customs involve braids and Kanak money. It's for special occasions like a wedding or births and deaths. It's our culture. People come to me when they need money. I make it to order. For example, we don't use the same money for a customary gift at a birth or a wedding as we would to apologize to someone. I make whichever sort people ask me for. I like making the money at night. In the daytime, there's always something else to do. You have to look for wood to cook with, or people drop by to say hello. At night, though, it's calm, and I can really concentrate. And the ancestors are there. I can feel them round me. They're with me when I make the money.
Kanak money is a delicate, precious thing. It's always handled carefully, not because it's fragile, but out of respect for its symbolic power. Take it out of its coconut and banyan bark pouch and look carefully. You can tell from its color what it's made of, and above all, its length. Its true value in sealing the most important social transactions, both between individuals and within the clan. One's word is sacred, and the chief speaks for all. The muted sound of his breath through the conch shell envelops everything, forests, rivers, and mangroves, in the softness of a banana leaf, and takes us back to the dawn of time. If a civilization is only as great as its roots are deep, then a people who hold the yam to be the foundation of their culture speaks volumes about how deep we have to dig to truly understand them. This journey was more than a voyage of discovery. It was a lasting gift. This people, this land, and the values they transmit live on in me. For a very long time, New Caledonia will remain a special chapter in my story, an encounter that brings true growth. The world won't wait, and I'm excited to go meet it.